Bonaducci, and you are watching Govs Radio. This is where you go if you want to see something or if you want to hear something funny. Coming up in just a couple minutes. This is a joke I told. What? I'm not on Gov Radio? Call the police. Call my agent. Hi, I'm Danny Bonaducci, and you are watching Govs Radio. This is where you go if you want to see something or if you want to hear something funny. Coming up in just a couple minutes. This is a joke I told. What? I'm not on Gov Radio? Call the police. Call my agent.
They just go with the flow. It's the Herschy and Keegs show.
Welcome to Herschy and the Keegs show, starring pitcher Mark Hirschman and his personal catcher, Mike Keegan. Every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. live from the Governor's Comedy Club radio studio. Thanks so much for listening.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Tuesday night, 9 p.m. It's the Herschy and Keegs show. Keeping it cheesy because we slide down easy.
The famous Keegan intro.
There you go.
That's it.
That's a new one. Mark, did you do the sign of the cross before we started?
I did.
Right.
I felt I needed a little extra something tonight.
Yeah, we do. We're definitely going to need it because we have a great special guest.
We do
one
have
of my best friends in the world, Hugh Murray, Levittown legend.
Hi.
Comedian, entrepreneur.
Yes. Philanthropist.
Puppy lover.
Full-on rapist.
Full-on rapist, yeah. Puppy lover.
Felon.
Mr. Meaner is what I like to call him.
Misdemeanor.
Yeah.
Tase victim. You know, it's funny. We've been doing this show now for about 14 months, and we just, you know what? We've been just trying to find the right time to have you on. We've just been trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So,
and
I guess everybody else canceled.
Holocaust Remembrance Day is the day, apparently.
we did not realize that Monica Taller was not going to make it to the show.
Oh, that's brutal.
Wow. We have Hugh here. And, Mike and I both, there's a lot of people that Mike and I dislike in common and a lot of people that we like in common, not as many. But Hugh is definitely one of them. We get a kick out of Hugh.
Which one?
Dislike.
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 We enjoy Hugh. I think all of us have the similar things. We love puppies. We love...
we do tag each other in a lot of dog memes.
A lot of
dog memes.
And people will put up a dog meme and tag us in it.
Yeah.
They know
you guys... Well, that's, most people who are new to Herschy and Keegs or to comedy, before there was a Herschy and a Keegs, there was a Hugh and Keegs or Hugh and Mike. So we have that banner you guys heard about that's outside of the cow. There used to be a banner for a comedy production company that Mike and Hugh had. This is years ago. It was called Get Inside of Us Comedy. Is that what it was?
Nailed it.
Yeah, nailed it. No, that was
Get
it.
Inside of Me.
That was just the two of us, but then we also did another thing
What was it called?
Get Involved Comedy.
Yeah.
Get Involved
Get
comedy. I'm
Involved.
sorry. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I apologize.
It morphed into something else.
okay.
apparently.
Yeah, we had to clean it up for our kids show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys had this. This was going back good 7 or 8 years ago. You had
Yeah.
this production company called Get Involved Comedy. You were producing shows at places like the what was that bar over there in East Meadow?
Farrell's?
Coasters.
Coasters.
maybe.
I
Coasters,
think we did
yeah. We
Coasters.
did Coasters.
You did Coasters. You might have done a show or two at the clubs. Is that right?
Yeah.
We did a big one at the brokerage.
That
Two
was the
big
first
ones, I
one,
think.
yeah,
the
The first big
brokerage,
one was
yeah.
was Tom DeDario headline.
Yeah,
that
Tom
one?
Wow.
DeDario. Yeah,
Wow.
sold out.
Sold out the brokerage.
So
our
there's
first
history
produced
here.
show, yeah.
Yeah, and that was before DeDario was even getting booked through the clubs.
Yeah, he credits our show for getting him.
Yeah,
into
I
the
kind of
clubs.
started his career.
So you helped
Yeah.
him get involved with the clubs.
yeah, yeah.
We changed it to just get Tom DeDario involved
Get
because
Tom
nobody
DeDario
else
involved.
got shit out of it.
Right. But you guys had a nice banner. I'll never forget that you guys had a nice, and I was like, wow, these guys are, they're not fucking around, these two.
Yeah.
We were not fucking around.
No.
They were getting involved.
We were like mean to be like people hated us because we were like
Yeah.
because our whole mission statement
Yeah, you had
was
one.
was basically
Get inside me.
let's get the Long Island comedy community together and not just do shows. Everyone pool your content together.
Right.
We'll get it all going for you. So
Right.
we wanted people send to us all your comedy dates, all your comedy
Yeah.
reels, and it was even before reels.
Yeah,
probably.
sketches and-
blogs, sketches.
They,
Send
they
it to
created
us.
reels, these guys.
We invented reels.
Yeah,
Oh
we
my
did.
God. Get involved TikTok comedy.
Exactly. We were the original TikTok, but
Oh
we
my
said
God.
we would get on people like send us your content. We'll do all the work. Just send us.
Yeah,
the shit.
Right.
All they had to do was literally send us shit, and they didn't do that. But
Right.
people were insanely jealous at first. Is like we started this thing, we got a couple like bigger names on Long Island to get involved.
Yeah,
And,
they got involved.
yeah, they got involved, and
Yeah.
then we were leaving people out specifically,
Right.
And they would get mad at us for that.
Mark, did you get involved?
I had no interest in getting involved.
Okay.
You know
Yeah.
that, but I like
tried
the
to
fact
get you involved.
You definitely
Yeah,
did.
yeah, we
but I
did.
like the fact that you guys had a list of people that you didn't want involved.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think that's specifically why we did it, just to ostracise
Yeah,
five
yeah.
people.
You can't get involved.
You can't- yeah,
that was like the offer.
Oh wow,
and shit.
yeah, that's one of our first. Is that the one Kevin
So
Bartini?
this was
Kevin
Get
Bartini,
Involved
yeah.
Comedy and Cheese Face Comedy. You had Mike Keegan, Hugh Murray, Kathy Arnold, Mike Bochetti, Kevin Bartini, the great Tony Landolfi,
Wow,
and
what
a
a
couple
show.
of others.
Yeah,
on
yeah,
there.
it was a good
That's-
show.
So
That's Mike Bochetti of the Artie Lang show.
yeah, he was involved.
He was involved,
I don't
yeah.
know if he's been involved in anything since then.
He's been involved in a psychiatric unit, I think, since then.
But there was you guys, and people need to realize something that when Hugh started, it wasn't very long. There was a little heat on Hugh on Long Island. So, there's a connection to Hugh doing well and then having some personal issues. But let's not forget, Hugh, pretty soon when he showed up on the scene, was a co-host, if I remember, of the open mic night at Brokerage Comedy
Well,
Club.
originally it was just me.
Okay, so
Yeah, I was the proprietor, the sole runner of the brokerage open mic.
which is a big deal. Like, it's a big deal that they gave him not even a year or two into
It's
comedy.
the biggest deal. That's the
Yeah, so they had Lori Palminteri, I think, was running the governor's open mic.
Yep.
They had Di Domenico doing
McGuire's, which we
and-
were there that first night he did it. All you and I were there on that show.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then they had me at the brokerage.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
right. And then at some point, when they saw you slipping and sliding away, they
Yeah.
they brought in Ziegler. So
Yeah,
you were
Jewed his way in there.
Once a Jew comes in, you might as well get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Once you know that the Ziegler's in, any Jew, it's like all
Exactly.
right. It's like fucking Palestine out, Israel's in.
Hugh might have some substance issues. Let's get a Jew.
Yeah,
my
he was
God.
like my handler.
Yeah.
So that came in, and that lasted. The duo of Ziegler and Hugh lasted for how long?
Well, I think that was around the time they started the Long Island Laugh Off or something. They were doing
Okay.
some comedy contest that ran all summer.
Yep.
I don't know if it was the Laugh Off at the time, like what they called it, but
Yep.
it's kind of what they became.
Yep, sure.
So they had me and Ziegler, like I was running it by myself for probably close to a year.
Wow.
And then Ziegler got involved. And
Yeah.
yeah, and then the summer happened where they had the contest, and then this is how I found out too. It was kind of fucked up. Was
It's always a difficult way to find out.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what was going on for September. Like the contest was over,
Right.
And I was inquiring about,
Right.
and no one was really giving me any information until I saw on the website that the open mic was back up and hosted by John Ziegler by himself.
Oh boy. Okay.
And I was like, "What the fuck's going on here?" And they're
Right.
like, maybe sit this one out." You know?
So you may not have come from a very
They
high
just, like-
level education, but you knew enough to know
Yeah.
that was not a great
You
sign.
know, there was a meeting where Ziegler was like, "Yeah, come on, you guys,
Yeah.
kind of unreliable, a little unreliable.
he got involved.
You know, I'll be there every week, and I'll pack the place out." And
Guys doing heroin in the bathroom. I don't know what.
He got me involved.
Yeah, I got involved and then I took over.
Who wants to have an open mic or tased?
Yeah.
Nobody wants that.
But that was even before Get Involved Comedy.
Yeah,
that
was
before I even
before.
got into comedy, because
Yeah.
you were already doing that before I even started doing comedy, and he was at the Just for Laughs.
I was going to
auditions
say,
here,
so what was
and-
the timeline that was the Just for Laughs Montreal Comedy Festival tryout for you here before or after the open mic takeover?
That was probably during.
Okay.
I had a little heat on me back then.
You did, man. You
Yeah,
certainly
I
did.
actually found out about the Just for Laughs audition. I was in California performing in L.A.
Wow.
And
Son of a gun.
yeah, I was outside the downtown comedy club, which again was a funny story. I booked a weekend and I got my hotel and my airfare and everything, and I was just featuring for the weekend. So I was definitely losing money on the deal.
Yeah.
But like it was.
That's what comedy is usually.
Usually.
Yeah.
But it was just cool to get out there. I'd never been to California before.
Yep.
So I knew the Just for Laughs things was happening, and they were. I didn't think I was going to be part of it, and they because they were filling up the spots.
Right.
So I get all the way out to California. I go knock on the door of the club, and the guy looks at me and he's just like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "What the fuck? What do you mean, who am I? I just flew out to California for this weekend.
3,000 miles.
I'm here to get involved in California.
You haven't heard of me?" And so it turns out they had fired their booker.
Yeah.
The guy did not turn over the books.
No.
Or the email address.
Right. The
So,
non-booking booker.
as I was emailing to try to confirm, no one ever got back to me, but I was like, I'm sure it's on.
I'm just going to go fly out to California anyway.
Well, I mean, I had everything booked already, so it was just
Yeah.
like I was just gonna like lose money.
Right.
So I just flew out there. I fucking did it. I showed up, and the guy told me the story, and I guess the booker got real spiteful, so he didn't even turn over like the email addresses like password.
Nothing.
Yeah. So
Pardon my French. That guy sounds like a jerk.
yeah, he was a real meanie.
Yeah.
And so they ended up, putting me up for the weekend, and they didn't pay me what was originally owed,
Right.
But they at least let me perform all weekend.
That's all you could have asked for.
Yeah, but it was definitely it was definitely like, well, like what the fuck? I'm really getting screwed over here.
Yeah.
But I was outside of the club in downtown LA, which is basically like doing comedy in the Bronx.
Yes.
It is a real rough area.
Rough.
And I got the call from Mark Lund, who
Yep.
was kind of running Governors at that
Yep.
time.
Wonderful
And
man. Yep.
yeah, he asked me if I wanted to do that show, and I was like, yeah, of course I want to do that show,
Well,
And,
unfortunately, the booker from downtown in L.A. books that also.
yeah. So then I got that audition, and that was arguably one of the coolest nights I had in comedy.
Yeah.
It was just like a front to back, like awesome show. Joe Starr hosted, and they had all these like great comics on it. Again, this might have been where the animosity started because Ziegler wasn't on that show.
Right.
And I got the last spot on that show
Yes.
over John Ziegler.
And if Jews,
I'm a pretty
if
good comic.
Jews Jews are
I should be in
anything,
the audition.
I should have been
we're
there.
spiteful. If there's anything about us, we're spiteful.
Yeah.
So that was the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
So
right.
then, I was definitely running the open mic.
Well, he
around,
got his eventually, didn't he? Poor guy.
Well, that's what you get when you mess with me.
Jesus Christ.
I give you
No,
cancer.
son of a
He's
bitch.
like fucking Magic Johnson now. He looks healthier than he
I
ever
know.
did.
It's so great, and we're gonna get him on the show too.
Yeah.
He's the best. He is the best.
So-
I'm glad he took you.
So yeah, then I think when I got back around that time, after I did that show, I think that's when they started using me as the open mic, because they had the other two clubs doing the open mic up and running, so they slotted me into the third so they would have that show.
And it's
right.
a great gig. It's, if you don't know, it's not like any open mic. I mean,
No.
it's
the open mic.
the open
Yeah.
mic. It's how the club looks at new talent.
Right.
But it also, they all basically sell out the room. Like I was
Sold
doing,
out.
I was doing it here at Governors for a little while.
Wall
For
to
sure.
wall.
And I
SRO.
would walk out on a Friday night with $800.
Yo,
You know,
yeah.
it's fucking
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
My first mic ever was actually the open mic at Governors, and there was about 250 people there, easy.
Yeah.
You know, it
Wow.
was always cool. You know, it is a bringer, but you know, but it's like a bringer that actually like meant something, because you knew like the bookers and the owners, like everyone was watching, and
Yeah.
that's how you started getting spots there.
and it was fruitful, and then unfortunately things spiraled a little bit after that.
Well, I did get in trouble once for the brokerage open mic, where I started using it a little bit like to trade spots.
Right.
So like you would get a certain amount of guest spots, and you know, the club always wanted me to put up like their guys, which is understandable. You know, like but I would also try to help out my friends and try to put them on stage.
Yes.
You know, and especially if they were booking a show, you know, then I would get
Right.
a show in a city.
Right.
And I was kind of using it like that. And then one time in particular, I remember I gave a guest spot to someone named Tim Dillon.
yeah.
And
Nothing
had
ever
that
came out
had
of
that
that.
work out for him.
yeah, and I gave
Looks
him
like that backfired, huh?
Yeah, well,
That's the word?
I gave him a spot, and then I got sat down by the old booker, and he told me that I had to put up their guys and not my guys.
Yeah.
This Tim Dillon, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, he's not doing
He's a
anything.
nothing.
This fake gay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and then shortly after that, I think he got in trouble at Governors by dismissing Mark Lund at the door.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And
yeah.
Mark Lund was asking for his paid ticket, and Tim's like, I'm on the fucking show. We're like, who are you? And Mark's like, this is my club, idiot. And
man.
then he got in trouble. But yeah, you know, I was
was the
just,
end of him now, wasn't
Yep.
it?
Yeah.
I did I do like that story, because it kind of showed that I had some more foresight into who was
Yeah,
funny
exactly.
than
You were
a
the
guy
guy.
who was booking for
Yeah,
30
man.
years.
I kind of have the urge to go big time Mark Lund right now. that works.
Yeah.
You know what? I guess that's an interesting thing, though, because if you look back on that famous show, Mike, that we talk about, that me and Brian Kennedy from the brokerage
One of the
booked.
best
Oh,
shows
I
I've
love
ever
Brian
done.
Kennedy.
Yeah, but if you look back at the show that we booked, the show was me and Brian, obviously, but it was Keith Anthony, it was Tim Dillon. Like, we knew what the fuck we were doing
Yeah.
9
Yeah.
years ago, 8 years
Absolutely.
ago, and that was a killer
That was
show.
one of the best shows I was ever on.
Joey
And, like,
Garitano, it was
Oh
terrific.
was
yeah,
on it.
definitely
Yeah.
miss Joey G.
you-
I wish he would get up again.
Yeah,
he was
he's
a funny guy.
Busy having kids and doing derelict stuff like that, but he's
Yeah.
doing good. He's definitely doing well. Wow, so those are the good old days. Now let's deep dive a little bit. And,
Yeah.
and I don't know.
Let's get involved.
I know that
Yeah.
you do a lot of trivia with Tony and other stuff like that. I want to know. I want to know. The one thing that. Certainly, I remember from the beginning. I always had a fondness for you, and I'd always be like, "But there's something amiss with that kid." And then you'd find out, you'd hear things that he was doing stuff, and you get a little worried, like, "Is he doing that stuff?"
Oh, is this
and,
the kid touching stuff?
And this, so that stuff, we'll get to that. We're going to do that. At the
Yeah,
end
we'll
of the
get into
show.
that.
But then there was like that one morning, which was like maybe 10 years ago, where everyone's cell phones are blowing up, and then there's pictures circulating, and it was a mugshot of Hugh Murray after he had been pinched. I guess reckless driving, leaving
Yeah.
the scene of a show.
No. See, that's where it gets confused.
Yeah, well, that's what
Because,
you're here for tonight.
Yeah, because I actually got in trouble with the clubs, and Mark Lund got very mad at me.
Yeah.
Because they mentioned Governors in the article. And so it was actually 10 years ago on New Year's Day.
Yep.
So this is the decade anniversary.
Oh, happy anniversary!
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I ended up getting arrested for the DWI, and they mentioned governors in the club. It was my first credit as a comedian.
Yeah,
which
no, it was
was nice.
big time. Yeah, congratulations
they,
for that.
They recognized me as a comedian, but
Hackiest headlines. They call you
yeah,
Stunny man.
yeah.
Oh, well, so he'll get to that.
Yeah. So they mentioned that I was that I worked governors, and that's why Mark Lund got mad, because the article made it sound like I was leaving the club from a show, and I was not. I was actually at the Chateau Briand.
Oh,
yeah. And I was just drinking that night, and
drinking the finest of
nothing ever good came out of the
champagne,
Chateau Briand.
Yeah. It was.
I was married there. I was, Tony.
Yeah.
July of 1999. Keep on going.
Yeah, so I ended up getting like banned.
Leave that, yeah.
You know, I got banned from the club for like a year.
You got banned. Now, I remember waking up and I'd be like, I felt bad, and you were not at your best at that point, because you were dealing with some shit, and I remember they had put up a picture of a mugshot, and certainly probably connected to the fact that you were under the influence of some other things. You weren't.
What was going on was that summer of 2012 was my first rehab.
Yeah.
So I had went away that summer, and I did everything wrong. I didn't really understand recovery, and I thought like, oh, if I just get off the hard stuff, I could just go back to drinking like all my friends. And it took me a long time to really figure out that I shouldn't be doing anything.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, no, I'll just drink. Like, my drinking's under control at least.
Right.
And then 6 months later, I got the DWI.
Yeah. And what a good friend I was that night. I'm like, Hugh, I'm at a bar. Come hang out with me. He was on his way to come see me.
Yeah, I was going to hang out with Keegs. I needed a New Year's kiss.
Exactly.
You're a horrible person.
He got pinned. God bless you, Tony. He was on his way to come see me at a bar in East Meadow. And that's when he got pinched. What a shitty friend I am.
No, you are a shitty person.
I think you called me, but did you call me when you were as you were getting arrested?
Yeah, I think
I never followed up.
I think like right before I was like, hey, you don't have to worry about buying that cocaine. I'm going to jail tonight.
Hold on a second. Let's just.
Mike Keegan is a piece of shit.
Accurate. So I think he called me, but I never checked up on him after he told me he was getting pulled over. Because I woke up the next morning, New Year's Day, and my mother's like, "Hey, your friend Hugh's on the news."
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, I think everybody got one of those.
Well, we all did, and it certainly wasn't the most beautiful, glamorous shot. You probably were still dealing with some heroin-related issues at that point.
Well,
I remember.
I came out of that first program on Suboxone, which is a drug replacement.
Now Mike's on it. Yeah.
It's kind of like a methadone.
Yeah.
And it is an opiate itself. So it kind of deals with that cravings, but it also has an opiate blocker.
Right.
So you're not supposed to be able to get high while you're on Suboxone, but so I was actually clean off of the hard stuff. I was just taking that medication at the time.
So there were people obviously a lot of comments about the picture, and it wasn't your best picture.
No, it definitely wasn't.
And people were because they found a taser next to you in the car. And
I kind of screwed myself. Was when I got pulled over, obviously it's January 1st, so it was cold out.
Right.
So I was wearing a suit because I was at a fancy place.
Sure.
And they asked me to. Because I always carried around that taser because I had gotten jumped pretty bad in 2008. So, it was always kind of like a scare tactic.
Right.
I felt like, I felt like, what's it, John C. Reilly in Talladega Nights? Dr. Watts, Sure. So I had the taser on me. like I usually did, and it was in my jacket pocket. And I asked the officer, I was like, "Hey, can I get my jacket, to do the field sobriety test?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure." So then when they, I thought I did actually well on the field sobriety
sure
test.
You did wonderful.
Yeah.
I did too when I had mine.
Yeah.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think you do well.
I remember on the Facebook post, I was like offended, like I was being very defensive of Hugh because they were making fun of the, like the teas and all the stuff. And then, like, the human piece of shit that I am, I had, for some reason, I just started typing and I wrote, "I'm shocked by this revelation." And I'm like, damn it, I'm such a piece of shit. My friend just got fucking locked up.
You know better than the New York Post.
Yeah. So the Post actually had the funny the headlines. So it because the taser looked like a cell phone.
Right, it looked like a Nokia, Nokia phone.
Yeah, one of the old Nokia like indestructible phones.
Yeah.
So what the New York Post said, comedian caught with a cell phone that had a zing tone.
I love that.
I came up with that one.
Yeah,
I love it.
and then they
I sent it to the New Yorker.
That's right.
He was a writer for the Post, and
Kathy Adams, it's me, Keegs.
they called me fucking Stunny Man.
Stunny Man was my favorite one.
I love that.
Yeah. So they had the cheesy headlines, but it was weird. They were quoting my Twitter.
Yeah.
So at the time they had like the Dark Knight was big.
Right.
So I had it in my Twitter profile that I was an agent of chaos.
Yes, that's right.
So they wrote in the article like Hugh Murray, like self-described agent of chaos.
That's right.
Making you like some fucking
Yeah.
cult leader, like David Koresh.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was like I was wearing like white Nikes and
No, the Joker is an agent of chaos.
yeah, and it was just like
I'm not a cult leader. I'm a comic book nerd.
yeah, and they had one tweet that definitely didn't help my case. Was one tweet said like, "Hey, Chateaubriand, meet drunk Hugh." And they quoted all this in the article, and I was very upset by it.
Well, that was an actual quote as you were getting handcuffed. Hey, Chateaubriand, meet drunk Hugh.
Yeah. So it was definitely like an unfortunate article as a whole, because like I was
Except for all of Long Island who loved every minute of it every day for about 8 months.
Everyone's like, finally he got knocked down a peg.
Yeah, we all.
The handsome, funny guy that's got all this heat on him just for laughs.
Yeah. It was rough because like I was unemployed at the time, so like I was actually like doing well in comedy, and then it hurt my comedy career.
Right.
And that's what it seemed like targeted. Like, it was like a big write up.
I remember it. Of course.
It was like almost like a full page article.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like. It was
a
weird.
very slow time of news. Everyone's like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Who's
I was like
Hugh Murray?
a low-level comedian, and they really put the screws to me.
Yeah.
You know?
They did.
And I was
Yes,
a little
we
upset
did.
by it because they even mentioned like they wrote like my address in the
Yeah.
paper. Like they listed my full address.
Yeah,
it was
I remember.
like doxing.
Yeah,
you
no,
know?
exactly.
No, me and Mike went to your house.
Yeah. So it was.
When they called me for an interview, I'm like, make sure you put his address in there.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
across from the elementary school.
Exactly, and it was just like they. It seemed like the article was just out to like hurt me more.
Yes.
You know, like it's bad enough
Well-
that like I'm going through a court case now.
Welcome to the media, buddy. That's what they wanted.
Yeah,
And it was-
seriously.
we all had a good laugh at your expense.
Yeah.
Who's the author of this article? John Ziegler?
Right. Trying to taste me once.
Yeah.
We'll
show him.
Just for laughs audition? I'm
Yeah.
into that.
Yeah, he's slowly turning into like a 1920s mobster.
I know. Before he was a neurotic Jew, now he's Muggsy.
Snidely Whiplash.
Yeah, you Mariam, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Put his girlfriend on the train tracks.
that's 10 years ago.
Yeah.
The trajectory, the up and down of, let's talk serious for a second, of the
Right.
drug addiction. You're clean now for how long?
It was actually 9 months last Friday.
That doesn't feel like a very long time.
Thank you.
So now I have agita now.
Yeah.
So
well, see, this is like a tough part about recovery because 9 months for me seems insane.
Yeah.
You know, it seems like a really, really fucking long time. But this has been, like I said, my first rehab was 2012, so this is like 11 years of recovery.
Okay. So previous to the 9 months, though, how long was the last? What was?
Well, during COVID, I had relapsed. And I was kind of like what we call running, you know, and I was using and drinking, and I was kind of doing that for almost like the length of COVID till about like
goddamn Chinese.
Yeah, you know, it was just like I got sent home from work with full pay, and there was like nothing to do.
They were begging for you to
I know,
relapse.
Yeah.
You almost would find it offensive if you didn't relapse.
Here's
during
money,
that
and you
time.
can't leave your house.
COVID was a tough time for a lot of addicts because the meetings shut down.
Right.
So there wasn't really an outlet for a lot of people to go to everything, and
I didn't even think of that.
yeah.
You
So
guys, you're on your own for a couple of years.
yeah.
But here's money, and you're gonna be alone with your
You
thoughts.
still have your health insurance
Yeah.
and full pay.
You're gonna be alone with your thoughts for 18 months.
You'll be fine though. Wink, wink.
Yeah, and silly me, I just started getting drugs off like the dark web. So
Yeah.
I was so drug dealers wouldn't even leave their house, and I was like, "Hey, post office, you're my new drug mule."
So what was the point of marcation that you're like, all right, done. It's done again.
Well, I went to rehab again. This was like my fourth one, and I was just like kind of getting like some job pressure. You know, like there was some rumors that I had been using. Now that like I was back to work, and but it doesn't always stop there. It's like this time around, like finally, like
Who started those rumors?
John Siegler. And he wanted my job at the power plant too. Right. So it was like in July of last year, I finally was just like done. I'm done. I was just like mentally drained. And this was like the first time where I wasn't feeling job pressure. It wasn't like my family was going to throw me out of my house, or I was going to get fired, or like the courts were pushing it, or like there wasn't any outside pressure. This was kind of like me doing it for me finally.
Wow.
Which is like it feels a lot different, and people in the meetings, they talk about that and like how you really have to do it for you, because a lot of people tend to get clean because like they're mandated, or what we call
I'm doing it for
that's
you,
not-
or I'm doing it
Yeah.
because of an intervention,
They
or I'm
call,
doing it because of work, or
they call it like mom dated too.
Right.
Like like your mom's gonna throw you out of the house, so you try to get clean, or I'm doing it because of my kids or something.
Right.
And a lot of times that doesn't work. Sometimes it's like you can get in, like whatever gets your foot in the door. And then, like, if you eventually stay clean, like, that's great. But, like, you really got to realize, like, no, you got to do it for you. Because, like, people want to, like, oh, I'm doing it for my kids, or save a relationship, my marriage, or my job. It's like, but you really can't, like, save anything or, like, help anyone until you help yourself.
save yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I want to know though, and can I mention her by name, or you don't want me to
Yeah,
mention?
yeah.
Okay. So Hugh's been dating a girl named Marissa now for how long exactly?
A little over 3 months.
Okay, so but this is someone that he knows for many years.
Yes,
So it's
yeah.
not like he knows her for 3 months. I happen to know her from a different life. She was a gymnastic teacher years ago of both of my daughters.
When you were a gymnast?
Yes, yes. I was doing.
She'll teach you a back handspring.
I was doing somersaults, and I'm like, I love this girl. No, so I remember her very well, and I remember her being a super human being. And it just so happens
she's
that
perfect.
So now Hugh is dating her, and certainly, all kidding aside, when I see you, and, obviously we've talked and we have the connection there.
Yeah.
But now that you've been clean, you were clean 6 months without her, 3 months with her.
Yeah.
I really do hope that this is that epiphany that you had almost a year ago. You run out of strikes, I guess, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it kind of feels that way, like a cat with like 9 lives,
Yeah.
because I've at this point, like, I've had I've lost track of how many times I've overdosed, which is like a scary feeling. You know, like, and it's somewhere like, it's not like it's like 100 times or what I'm saying, but it's like the fact that I even lost track, you know, like we're up there like 7 or 8 times. There's been like around 7 arrests, you know, and like I've pretty much got through it all like unscathed, like other than the DWI, like the misdemeanor for that.
Yeah.
That was the only charge that stuck. You know, I keep waking up from all these crazy overdoses and like, yeah, you start to feel like you're running out of luck. But yeah, like what I wanted to mention, like with her too, she was very scared in the beginning because she's like, you only have 6 months, and it's like in the world of an addict, that is so long,
right?
You know, but like it isn't even like the most amount of clean time I've had. You know, I've gotten upwards of like a year and a half.
Okay.
So like I would get like clean and then I would relapse. I'd get clean and I would kind of go back and forth like that for like the last 11 years. So it wasn't like I was just using drugs like straight through.
Right.
But you know, she was nervous about getting into a relationship, but I was very honest up front about her. And you know, I'm doing things a lot differently. And yeah, you know, she's very supportive in recovery as well as comedy and like other aspects of my life, and yeah, she's great in that regards. But you know, like even like my parents, like, you know, it's like, hey, I got 9 months clean. They're like, yeah, call me after 5 years.
So
you know,
I wonder, the way I look at it, and I hope this is accurate, that the older you get, obviously, there's expectations that you're going to be getting your shit together more.
Right.
You add in the fact that you have a profession that you can totally fuck up, and sounds like to me you probably have the best girl in your life that you ever had. So the truth is, the amount of things that you could fuck up with a relapse is probably as great as ever it has been, and certainly not to put, you know, any more pressure on you, but the people that love you, we want you to realize that, you know, keeping on with this is the best possible thing for you forever.
Yeah, and that's kind of one thing that I never gave up on myself, you know, and it's like there's always like a small, like, because sometimes you get like this dark like acceptance, like, oh, I'm never gonna get clean, like I'm never gonna you know, accomplish anything, like this is just my life now, and that's when it gets scary, you know. But there's always like that little voice in the back of my head that's just like, why don't you give recovery like just one more shot, you know, because I had some bad experiences in recovery with like some like not so great sponsorship and like not and most of it was like my own fault, you know, like they give you like suggestions when you walk in the door, and I wasn't taking them all. I was trying to just pick and choose what I wanted to do, and I wasn't really taking it like 100% serious.
I'll do like 6 of the 12 steps.
Yeah, exactly.
I do want to touch on one of your recovery stories, but before that, I do want to say, if I can interject, as one of your friends that's been there for 11 years, and I've seen the highs and the lows and several relapses. This particular time, I noticed it's totally different. You're taking it a lot more seriously.
Okay.
You're a lot more excited about being sober, and it's totally different. I've seen it.
But when I asked you a few months ago to have him on the show, you said, "Why bother?" And I'm like, that's not a good friend at all.
He'll be dead soon.
You mean yesterday? But no, it's a totally
don't get
different,
him involved.
It's a totally different humor right now. Like,
oh, thank you.
You like the first time that I spoke to him about it, you just seemed so excited about this particular time because you are doing it for you now, not because there's so much pressure on you.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite recovery stories is when you got kicked out for putting on a comedy show.
Oh yeah. My my second rehab. So after the DWI, you know, I had been away the first time, and like I said, like I made all the mistakes. Like getting on drug replacement therapy was not good for me because you have to remember, like methadone or Suboxone, like when you get on these things, you're either on them forever or you're going to have to get off them and withdraw again.
Right.
So like obviously with like opiates, like there's a certain amount of withdrawals, like same with like Xanax or alcohol. So withdrawals are the worst, you know, and for opiates, they feel like flu-like symptoms, like the worst flu in the world. And it's just rough because so like imagine you have like the worst flu in the world. You're throwing up. You're shitting yourself.
Yeah.
You're like hot and cold, and then it's just like
You happen for different reasons.
Yeah.
Don't forget this. No, you're fine.
Tell
You're
me
fine.
somebody who's had coronavirus 17
No, you're
times.
Yeah.
So it's like that's your regular day.
Imagine you
Pay no mind.
Look, am I
Imagine-
going through withdrawals or did the Chinese eat it
You're
back?
okay. You're okay. You're okay.
So it's like
It's that
imagine
sushi
having
again.
coronavirus and then someone's like, here, you could take this $7 pill.
Yeah.
Or like, in my case it was a bag of heroin. You take this $7 bag and you will no longer have coronavirus, and on top of that you're going to feel the best you've ever felt in your life. So that's the mental side, is knowing you could always just feel better in that instant. So you kind of got to get over that the mental side is on top of that. But after my first rehab, then I got the DWI and I had to go to outpatient, and it was like court mandated, and I was going through it, and it wasn't progressing fast enough for me, so I started relapsing, and then I had to get sent away because I had failed a couple of drug tests through the outpatient. So I went to a place called St. Christopher's, which is in like Garrison, New York. It's 175 men, and the place is run by monks. In like
Dude,
like brown
monkeys. I'm like, yes, this is the best rehab ever.
yeah, and it's like
Look at his butt.
yeah, he's got a little blue butt.
This place is fun.
Yeah. And
Pass the pills.
yeah, so it's like a very religious place. It's technically a homeless shelter where they give counseling to, and it was like a rough place. Like there's 20 guys to a room at least. My bunk neighbor, like the guy in the bed next to me, he actually went home and killed his mother with a hammer.
Oh wow!
Like they were like a rough crowd there. Like one dude like literally got brought up there in fucking shackles in the orange jumpsuit by like marshals. Like it was like a weird fucking place, So there were some people from my union there. There were some people from my hometown, and it got around quick that I was a comedian. So there's like nothing to do at these places, when you're not going to group, and especially at night. And there was like one TV in the place, like there really wasn't a lot to do.
Yeah.
So it got around that I was a comedian. They wanted me to put on a show. So I was like, yeah, sure. I didn't think anything of it. So we went up to like this little seating area on top of a hill that was kind of like well lit. And I ended up doing a show for like 25 minutes, and kind of like, like 25 minutes, half hour. I was doing like some crowd work and, like,
Hey, Hammer, how you doing?
yeah.
How's your mom? Just kidding.
What was really weird is that guy complained about his mom all the time.
Right.
And he's just like, one day I'm going to fucking kill her. And I'm like, oh, you.
Yeah, you silly goose.
He was like, "What, you just fucking hit her in the head with a hammer?"
Yeah. Just take her out, dude.
Everyone has a hammer in their house.
He ended up like driving around with her fucking corpse in the trunk for like a week.
Holy Jesus. Holy fuck.
So I did this cute little show for everybody because everyone was bored. And I
What's the deal with the 12 steps?
yeah, I was doing some like recovery material that I was just like working out, and so the next day I get brought into like the monk's office.
Wow.
And there was like a high council meeting where everybody had like candles and robes, and I had to stand there naked while they hazed me.
Oh my god.
And
They lashed you with
they
cat of nine tails.
they threw me out.
Wow.
For like assembling like a meeting, like
Yeah.
or like you weren't allowed to like start like a
riot.
group.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of made me out to be a cult leader.
Yeah,
again.
like a little mutiny.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I wasn't allowed to kind of like gather people on like my own accord.
You Jim Jones, the group of
Wow.
people in recovery.
Yeah, I
Fucking
Jim Jeffries them.
demoralizing to get thrown out of a place by monkeys.
Yeah, it really was.
Get out! You!
And they threw shit at me on my way out the door. They threw their own semen at me. Yeah. I walked out of there like a silly, dirty mess.
Oh my god.
No, but it was very demoralizing.
I would say.
I felt like I was going to get in trouble because like the courts mandated me to go there, and I'm like, I'm getting fucking thrown out for trying to do like a nice thing and make everyone laugh.
Yeah.
And they basically they drop you off at a train station in upstate New York. I didn't have a cell phone. And like if they were gonna throw me out for anything, I was selling cigarettes the entire time.
Right, you were fucking red in Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, and
I've been known to figure out a couple of things. I've been known to acquire a thing from time to time. I've been known to do a comedy show once in a while.
Yeah, so I had all this money on me from selling cigarettes, and they gave me like a fucking train ticket and told me to fuck off. So I was sitting in Penn Station, so I started drinking.
Yeah,
in Penn Station,
Why
waiting
not?
for my train. And, I finally get home, and I actually, I met up with a friend, and we had bought a couple bags, and I ended up overdosing that day.
Oof.
And I ended up in the
That
hospital.
story took a turn for the worse.
Yeah.
You went from making a group of people that needed to laugh,
Right.
Yeah.
yeah.
You got them involved, and then
Yeah, I was trying to get everyone involved. And,
Moral of the story is don't give Hugh Murray money.
or cigarettes.
yeah. I'm like Charlie Murphy.
Yeah, exactly.
Never should have gave you money.
And keep them away from monkeys.
Yeah.
I am curious though, and not that I have so many experiences with drug withdrawals, but I will tell you an experience that I had.
Yeah.
This is years ago when I was put on some sort of an antipsychotic
guys would be
medication, like an
Claritin.
antidepressant.
No, you're right. There are like
I was on,
withdrawals, like from antidepressants.
I actually arbitrarily decided. I didn't tell Stacy, my wife. I didn't tell my parent. Nothing. I'm like, I think I'm good. Like I think I'm fixed. You know?
yeah.
42 years of fucking total lunacy, and I'm okay.
This is like the paradox of like antidepressants. Is like you get on them, and then you're like, wow, I sort of feel great.
Well, but
I no longer need these.
I gave it some time, and I was feeling pretty fucking chipper. And maybe my nightmares weren't as much, and maybe I wasn't finding myself in a fetal bowl all the time.
Right.
So I was just like, I'm gonna just cold turkey quit. And then I will tell you the one withdrawal symptom that really scared the shit out of me, and I didn't tell for at least probably a week or two. I was getting these things called brain zaps. You know what a brain zap is?
Yeah, I used to give them to people with my taser.
Do you know? Seriously, brain zaps are just what they sound like. Like
Just like it feels like
you'll just be
electrical-
like zzz, like you'll feel like
Oh my God.
your brain like, zzz, like that's what you'll feel, and it's scary as fuck.
Yeah.
And eventually, I had to wean
feels like
myself
you're having an aneurysm.
back
probably.
onto onto the medication because
That's rough.
The brain zaps were.
And is that in order to not have that happen, they have to like wean you off of it slowly instead
Yeah,
of
that's
just
what
supposed
they
to
do.
wean
Yeah.
off, but I did not do that. I just decided, and I was getting the zappers, and it was pretty horrific.
Zappers.
So
That sounds like a comedy club in like Tampa.
yeah, I was at Zappers. Yeah, here he is.
I was at open mic night at Zappers.
Your non-depressed friend, Mark Hirschman.
That's the name of the open mic at St. Christopher's Recovery.
Yeah, after the electroshock treatment. You do get like withdrawals from different antidepressants. I've gone through those as well, and they're rough. You know,
It was rough, but you're good now. Like so anything that certainly we can do. Like Mike and I want to be part of the good stuff going forward.
We want to get involved.
We want to get involved in your forever recovery.
Well, here's what you can do. You can put me on the next fucking comedy show you guys
All
put
right,
together.
that's it. He's in.
Jesus Christ.
He's
You
in.
do all these cool things,
He's
and
in.
it's just like, let's leave out our friend that we
you're
want to
in.
help.
You're in. You are in.
I wanted to last
Yeah.
time, and then Mark's like, "Why bother?"
No, you're definitely in 100%.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And listen, there was a moment, Mike and I, obviously, when we came on this station about a year ago, they were looking for like two young studs to do like a podcast.
Right.
And now, interestingly, you and another man who's very easy on the eye, Travis Grant,
Yeah, he's
you
a
have
handsome
your
fella.
own very easy on the eye. So it's almost like them versus us. It almost
I know,
feels
right?
like.
Exactly.
It's like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
studs
Like,
versus
yeah.
studs.
Yeah, the Jets versus the Sharks.
Yeah.
So you have a new show which I
All the
didn't even
chicks
know
like,
about.
which show we're gonna bang our clams to?
Your new show, which has one episode, it's called Drowning Underwater.
Treading water, but yeah, very similar.
Treading
similar.
water.
Treading
Treading
water,
water.
yeah.
Okay, that show happened already.
Yeah, we did episode 1 last Thursday.
Yeah.
We'll be doing episode 2 this Thursday at 1 1 p.m.
Tell me that's a hotbed for people to listen in live. Tell me, what was the impetus of this? I mean, how did it come about? What made you decide you want to do a show?
I've been wanting to do a podcast for a while. Like I had this is kind of like my third venture into podcasting. Like I actually had one before I started comedy. I was doing a lot of sports blogging.
Okay.
And I had a mixed martial arts blog. And we ended
MMA,
up...
that is. Mike.
Yeah, MMA. And it was actually a cute story. I had the website. It was called
Marshall Mathers?
hammerfisted.com.
Yeah.
And so...
That's not the thing you do.
Yeah.
That's different.
I had hammerfisted also.com.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine was .org.
.org, yeah, .org. And I was doing I had the blog like probably like my first year in stand-up too, and I met Louis J. Gomez of Legions of the Skanks fame.
Killer comic.
Yeah,
Killer.
And we were at Eastville Comedy Club, and we exchanged business cards, and his card said hammerfisting.com, and mine said hammerfisted.com.
So his was a gay...
yeah, his was gay porn.
Yeah, his was
Mike
gay
says
porn.
fistmyasshole.com.
With your hammer.
Fist me with your hammer.
Anything you want.
Yeah.
.gov.
But Lewis actually, he was a podcast first that turned into a blog, and we were vice versa. But yeah, we actually had like a pretty solid podcast, and that's where the whole Logic thing came from. That was like my pseudonym that I used to write under.
I remember.
And so we had like that was like a cool little podcast, and we were actually doing well. I did it with this guy from Florida that I never met. It was just like an internet friend. And but what happened?
He hammer-fisted some guy.
Yeah. We met in a truck stop. Yeah.
Hey, I met this guy on the internet. He's gonna come hammer-fist
Mike
me.
would do that when he was 13 on the couch, separated by cushions.
Well, it is weird because like his pseudonym was Gimp.
Yeah. Tony's also,
Yeah.
Was it Tony?
Yeah.
Did Tony have
Well, this is more like
a podcast with Tony?
This is more like the type of Gimp from like Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
With like the leather mask and the strap on. But
Tony
so
too.
I started comedy. And then this other guy, he ended up getting married, had a kid, and he actually became like a corrections officer in
And he
Florida.
killed his mother with a hammer.
Yeah.
Hey, Hammer.
Yeah. So a lot of hammer talk out of me today.
Hammer time.
And so then, like years later, I had the idea to do a podcast where I kind of wanted to capitalize on the video game streaming that I ended up doing with Tim Thompson.
Tim Thompson.
Love Tim.
Yeah, loved him.
Yep.
Good friend. And his buddy Matt Quinn, us three got like we started doing Couch Quest. And
Different than what you did.
I did a couch quest also when I was 12 years old.
where you fuck the couch.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So we had done that, and that was going pretty well. It was fun to like kind of like, but it got dangerous because like we were pairing video games with an alcohol. So like after a while, the drinking kind of caught up to me, and then I got into the hard stuff. Mm-hmm. And it was also tough with like three people, kind of like all trying to be on the same schedule because we all had day jobs and doing comedy, and then I was just like.
It's like, you know what? This IPA pairs well with black tar heroin.
Yeah. They were asking me like, after a while, like they were like trying to pair like cute beers. They're like, oh, I have this Halloween pumpkin ale that I'm gonna play with Jason. They're like, Hugh, what are you drinking? I'm like, cheap scotch. So, it kind of fell off after a while.
Gin out of a shoe.
So I've been, and so I wanted to get back into podcasting, and
You're back.
I've been looking for a podcast partner because you stole mine.
Yeah,
and with my little Mikey
These
pies.
Jews are just screwing you out of everything, right?
I know. I got a final solution about all this.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me of a joke I'm going to tell in a second. Yeah.
So I don't know. I started hanging out with Travis a lot recently, and
He's funny.
Dude,
yeah,
I think the team of you and Travis is awesome.
Yeah, he's a funny guy, and you know what? He
He
kind of
really
brings me back to those douchebag like alpha jock vibes that I had when I first started comedy
Right.
that I kind of came away from,
Yeah. You're
So,
back.
so I feel like I'm
I
back.
see myself in your eyes, Travis.
and like we're both MMA fans, so we actually want to kind of dive back into that, which kind of brings me almost full circle. So we got a couple ideas that we're gonna go with. We're trying to do different things and just like see where it goes. Obviously we only had the one episode, but definitely check out the 2 episodes of Knock 'Em Dead where we were on those. It's almost like a little prequel.
Okay.
And then we did 2 episodes of that, and then we did our first one on Thursday, and we're gonna check it out on this Thursday.
Keep going. You got to watch them. They're
Bobbing
two
for apples.
awesome
What is it
guys.
called?
Treading water.
Treading water. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
because that's basically what him and I have been doing our entire lives.
I love it. excited for you
Travis
guys.
has had his own issues with different things that we
Okay.
talked about on episode 1.
Okay.
And we're just 2 dirtbags treading
I
water.
love it. 2 good guys.
2 lovable dirtbags.
Yeah.
One thing I was thinking about today when I was thinking about the evolution of you guys and getting involved in the beginning is that I always liked Norm Macdonald. But
Yes.
I'm going to be very honest, and I always appreciate, and I think I've told you guys this, that I did not really dive down the rabbit hole of Norm Macdonald stuff until I saw you guys. This is going on 10 years ago.
yeah.
Like, you guys would talk about him, and I'd be like, I don't think I appreciate Norm as much as they do.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
But now you do.
oh, no, in the past
Me
10
and
years.
you and Tim just.
Oh, no.
always-
In the,
We
in the
never get
past-
together without like quoting Norm.
Yeah.
In the past 10 years, I have really spent a lot of time YouTubing videos. Obviously, his last episode on Letterman was incredible.
Right.
So I printed out a couple of my favorite Norm jokes
Nice.
Oh,
that I'd
great.
like
Yeah.
to go ahead and read tonight.
I love I love Norm.
So you guys, and stop me if you guys remember the bits. I'm sure you do. I once walked in on my parents having sex. It was the most embarrassing 30 minutes of my life.
Wait, is that your Norm impression?
Yeah. Like, I think I.
Why is
no,
your,
it was,
why is your Norm and John Ziegler the
it
same?
was my Ziegler doing Norm Macdonald. How about this one? They say that if you're afraid of homosexuals, it means that deep down inside you're actually a homosexual yourself. That worries me because I'm afraid of dogs. How great. Now this one you were saying about how you could put an end to something Jew related.
Yeah.
So this is his take about Hitler. With Hitler, the more I learn about that guy, the more I don't care for him.
Dude, that's one of my favorites.
One of the even just Google Norm Macdonald Hitler. He has a lot of Hitler
Oh,
stuff.
so
it's
much,
all
dude.
It's brilliant
and
stuff.
that was the Letterman episode. Were you talking with where he did the World War II
Yeah.
bit?
Where did he
he's
go to war with?
the world?
Brilliant.
Yeah, so good.
But so Letterman, so the last week of Letterman, he had people on the show that were very special to him.
Yeah.
And Norm was the last comic to come on the show. And I've watched this video because Letterman's always been my guy since I'm a little kid. I love Letterman.
Yeah.
So he brought Norm on, and Norm, the way he tells the story is that he had a speech prepared to tell after his set that night, and then as he was getting to the end of it and ready to go to the speech, he realized that he did not want to tell a written speech,
Right.
and he just kind of riffed off the top of his head, and he basically started crying, and he told Letterman he loved him, which was not something that, Letterman is kind of like a little bit of a standoffish type.
And
of
Norm's
person,
the same way,
and
too.
Norm is as well.
Yeah,
So
they're not very warm and fuzzy.
they're not that they're. It's just that's their persona,
Yeah.
certainly, and you could tell that Letterman was extremely touched, and he said, Norm, oh my God, Norm, and he gave him a hug, and Norm was crying on stage, and it was.
Yeah.
I watch it probably once a month.
Probably
it was
one of the
phenomenal.
most beautiful things I've
Yeah.
ever seen on television.
Yeah, it was terrific. So
Yeah.
Norm has one joke. It's just a minute, but I'll tell you. It's my favorite joke of his.
Yeah.
Where he goes, somebody just moved in next door to him, and he goes, "Oh, my name's Norm. Nice to meet you. What do you do for a living?" He goes, "I'm a professor of professor of logic at the University of Science over there.
Yeah.
So he goes, the professor of logic. What does that mean? He goes, well, for example, I'll run this by you. Do you have a dog? He goes, I noticed you have a dog house. Yes. Well, that means you must have a dog. Yes, I do. Well, that must mean you have a family as well. Well, yes, I do. Well, then that must mean you're a heterosexual male. Yeah, well, you're 100% right. That's the logic of it.
Yeah.
So he goes, that's pretty interesting. So I go, I'm walking him by the bus stop. I see another guy. I said, hey, I met the new neighbor. He goes, oh, what's he do? He goes, he's the professor of logic over at the University of Science. And he goes, professor of logic? What does that mean? He goes, it's something like this. Well, do you have a dog? No. Ah, well, you're one of them gays, aren't you?
Norm's delivery is just always so perfect, and I really started. They have some great TikTok accounts, just like Norm clips or like Norm quotes, and I love his podcast at the end. That he was doing with Adam Egget. Yes. And they would do the jokes, and they would bring different people on, and like just like something as simple where he's just like. In a new study shown, people with beards are sexy, says from the University of Bob Seger. And it's just something so stupid like that. And then he gives you that like wry smile,
exactly.
And
so good.
Do you know the bit that he does about that his wife's in a coma?
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm gonna probably butcher this, but it's really a great bit. So he tells it on Letterman. Or was it Conan? It was Conan.
He has some great Conan appearances, yeah.
And my wife, she's in a coma, and Conan's like, oh, that's terrible. Yeah. So I went to the doctor and I said, Doc, what can we do to help her out with this coma? And the doctor says, well, I think that you can help her with some oral sex. And he goes, by God, he says, right? That's what Conan says. So he says, all right, well, I'll do what I have to do. And he goes in there and he comes back out 5 minutes later. He said, Doc, she's choking in there.
Dude, he's so good.
Yeah, he's so good. And I love when he gets into those like really... Especially with Conan, he would always do like the really drawn out, like the moth jokes.
The moth is the best.
Remember I did that at a Bob Liardi show?
Yeah, Mike did that on stage once.
That long convoluted joke because like we were pissed off, like nobody showed up to the shows, no audience member.
Moth.
So I ended up doing the moth joke.
Yeah,
fucking amazing.
And that was a really good one. And then like he would do like the it's a knick-knack paddywhack, like all those, all those like little street jokes that he would do, like they were always just so perfect. So
did you ever see him on his appearance on The View? If you don't mind me,
yes,
that's classic.
Yes,
that's classic.
They hated him.
Oh,
yes,
God,
but then what he does to them,
though,
yes,
he got them. He smoked them.
Exactly.
Totally smoked them.
He didn't give a fuck.
He won.
Yes.
Yeah, see, I feel like Norm isn't for everybody, and that's kind of what was so tragic about him getting fired from SNL.
Right.
Because, like, I feel like he was just, that job was, like, tailor-made for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, I guess what the story is, like, the producer or whatever,
Bob
SNL.
Obermeyer.
Yeah, he was, like, friends with OJ or whatever,
Yeah.
and it's just, like, you got to stop making fun of him. And just him being, like unflinching, just did not care and just kept ripping into him.
Doubled and tripled down on him.
So he actually reported to Letterman. He was a guest on Letterman, and he said, I got fired from SNL. And Letterman said, how? You're so good at this.
Yeah.
And he said, Bob Obermeyer had fired me. And Dave was like, well, that explains things. He's a jerk. That guy.
I remember that appearance.
Yeah. But it's because he ruffled people the wrong way, and he was unrelenting and unflinching.
And he never lost.
And
never lost.
He always
and that's like I feel like the true sign of a great comedian.
Yes.
I feel like so many comics these days, like you even see it with someone as like ballsy on stage as like Anthony Jeselnik. Like even him, he's like coming out now like, oh, my jokes have hurt people over the years, and it's just like, well, that's what you get for being edgy. But it was just like always so refreshing to see Norm like just like, no, this is funny, and I'm gonna say
and I'm not gonna stop.
Yeah, I'm not
the
gonna
day I die.
stop.
Literally.
He just loved stand up and the art of stand up.
Well, it almost for me. I mean, the fact that Stern was Stern for so many years, and now he's nothing like he used to be.
Right.
And
Now he's a star fucker.
and he's an apologist, and what?
He's a star.
Yeah.
Oh, no, but would you agree though? I mean,
No,
definitely.
yeah, 100% is.
Yeah,
It's like, I was with Jennifer Aniston in
But he's
Bermuda.
apologizing for things that he. But that's
Yeah.
he became who he is by being
It's
that
easy.
person.
And Jimmy
Right.
You
Kimmel
can't
too.
go back on that
Jimmy
now.
Kimmel got famous by having girls jump on tits in their
Right.
I know.
trampolines.
We did that. We didn't get famous at all.
Yeah.
We just got broke.
And I hate when they like forget where they came from and like
That's right.
like what their audience
yeah.
wants.
It's easy to reel it back now and say I was wrong because you're sitting on
$600 million.
Yeah.
Right,
No, you
yeah.
are who you are. You got
Yeah.
to stick with that.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
You got to stick with that.
Yeah, you got to remember
Give
your
back all your
roots.
money that you made with the juggies jumping on
Right,
trampolines.
exactly.
You feel so bad, you fucking twat.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, Mario Bosco. I just made fun of Jimmy Kimmel. It's his buddy, right?
Well, on that note, we'll end with the fucking twat line.
Oh, we're done already?
We are.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Listen,
Yeah.
man. You
That
know,
was a lot of fun.
Listen, we appreciate you. We love you. We want to hear only good things about you. We love our new 3-way text thread that we have. We'll keep that
Yeah.
rolling. If there's anything we could ever do for you or for whatever, you just let us know because we're big
appreciate
supporters, and we don't want this to be 9 months. We want it to be 9 years. We want it to be forever.
Yeah, you got to
So-
take it one day at a time.
Tell
Yeah,
our
and-
grandchildren how you've been. I don't know.
well, I'm probably sterile
Yeah, exactly.
from all the
Yeah.
chemicals.
Yeah.
But you know, and we want to have you back because, like, we really—it's the tip of the iceberg with you, Murray. You know, we get this
Yeah.
for hours, and we know
You're right.
how much animosity to hate about things with Berg in it.
Yeah, the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's promote what you got real quick, Hugh. You got your show coming up on Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday at 1 p.m. Would be episode 2 of Treading Water with Travis Grant.
Love it.
Yeah, we'll be streaming live on YouTube, and we're gonna try to get some more avenues. We might, start up a Twitch or do what you guys doing on Facebook, or maybe all three. We're still troubleshooting, and we just wanted to get it off the ground. But yeah, that'll be the next thing, and then we might go to the Comedy Cove this weekend.
Yeah, we're going to be doing the Comedy Cove this weekend. Friday night, I'm there with Fred Rubino.
Okay.
Saturday with Terrence McNeely, another
Nice.
friend of the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, so
Terrence Marie McNeely.
Terrence Marie McNeely.
Okay.
And me and Hugh could talk
So
for hours
is
about
Hugh
him.
gonna
and
be
Al
involved
also.
in this?
So,
Is he-
take a
Yeah,
ride.
I wanted to go down because I went down with him. When he was opening for Nikki Smiggs,
Yeah.
Right.
and I did
the Smigs.
the Smiggs.
That's our boy right
Yeah,
there.
there you go.
And
What you
I
trying to
did
bust
like
into that shit?
a quick little 5-minute guest spot, and it seemed like the owner liked me.
Yeah,
but,
well,
he
yeah.
never responded to my emails.
Yeah,
so now
so
I gotta go.
It means that he didn't like you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I gotta go confront his
Myself down his throat,
mustache.
yeah.
So I'm sure that'll be really appreciated. Oh, this fucking guy again.
Yeah.
Exactly. So come to the Comedy Cove this weekend. I got a show coming up in the Giggle Room with my buddy Vinny Pietrafessa.
Okay.
That's a mouthful.
He just
it
called
really
me a
is, yeah.
dirty
Yeah.
Jew in Italian.
Hey, Pietrafessa.
Hey.
Vincent James as he goes by, and Joe Pontillo's on the show.
Okay, good.
That's my next show here at Govs, so check that out.
That's
on the website.
awesome.
Yeah.
So.
Really good. Well, we have our next show coming up on Tuesday. We are scheduled to have another failed comic, Chris Roach, on the show. He's coming.
Good old
No,
Chris Roach will be
he's
here.
the
We're
best.
looking
He's the
forward to
best.
seeing
Yeah, I
him.
love
He's
Chris.
gonna have some great stories, obviously, because he's
Yeah.
another guy who had some heat. More than you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
More than you.
definitely. I didn't have much.
No. The truth is, Chris Roach had more heat than anybody
Yeah.
out of any of this population.
I think on the Just for Laughs, I think he was the only one that really got a callback.
Yeah.
Out of a show of a ton of great comedians, I think it was just him and maybe Brian John, if I
Yep.
remember.
Oh wow, Brian
you know.
John. I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah, I haven't seen him. Brian John's not
John.
even on like social media.
Yeah.
He's going like the Keith Anthony route,
Yeah,
where it's
Right.
just like
he's like a lawyer.
that
and,
always
like,
works out
yeah,
well.
they're like so good, and then they.
Yeah.
they
He's one of those
can't
Asian
even find
guys
them.
that talks like George Takei.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
I love his
does.
voice. I love
Yeah.
when Asian people don't have accents.
Yeah.
I don't, not like that. Not like
Thank you for listening, everybody.
I really like when they're not like, hello.
God, an hour and 2 minutes. The Keegs almost didn't disgrace us. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Hugh Murray.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you, Marissa, for taking good care of our
Yes.
boy.
Yeah.
Keep on doing that, please.
And follow me on Instagram at The Logic.
At
Logic.
The Logic on Instagram, Hugh Murray's new show, Treading Water, and him and Travis are going to do great together, and we'll love to have you back again, buddy. Thanks for being on this week.
Thank you, buddy.
Goodbye, horses.
Thanks, folks.
Yeah.